KFI AM 640, Bill Handel here on a Tuesday, very busy Tuesday morning. Stories we're covering, of course, the Houston flooding. We'll do more of that. The heat wave sort of has become less of a story until you go outside. And then
those 110.
Yeah, and then there's North Korea, which we're going to talk about with Bryan in just a moment. We are streaming this segment on Instagram, live streaming. At Bill Handel Show. Bryan, you want to wave to the
I'm doing
nice
Le
people?
Tigre. I'll work up to Blue
Nice
Steel.
people. Also this morning, if you've been hearing Jeff Baugh, KFI in the Sky, talking about this huge this accident that happened at the 5 and the 210 freeway in Newhall Pass. And as he said a couple of times, whatever you do, call in at the minimum that you're going to be late. Well, that's exactly what happened to us and Bryan Suits. Bryan Suits just walked into the building.
For Military Tuesday.
Yes, Tactical Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah, we changed the name. So he just walked in, and he had called us and said he was in traffic because he was in that mess. And what time did you leave, Bryan?
5:15. I go 5:15 through Green Valley, Francisquito, Santa Clarita to I-5 to guarantee that I'm here on time for Military Tuesday. I leave at 5:15.
And you were caught in traffic all the way through.
Yeah,
because of what's going
just like
on.
Jeff Boss. I looked up. He flew over me on the old road. As he was doing a report, I looked up. Low-flying Cessna 172.
Did you wave?
No.
Okay. All right, so let's go right into Tactical Tuesday with Bryan. Bryan is heard Saturday and Sunday here on KFI. Saturday from 10 to midnight, and Sunday from 8 to 10. And even when the Chargers play, you still do okay because they're done, right?
Yep.
By 8 o'clock.
Sure, it will be.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I think the big story here is, and it would have gotten a lot bigger had it not been for what was going on in Houston, and that is North Korea launching the first missile over Japan that it has done. And, of course, North Korea going crazy, Japan going crazy, it was horrible. Prime Minister Abe said this is the biggest threat to Japan, sort of missing out that the atomic bomb was a bigger threat at one point. And the president, this is what I like about our president. Everything is on the table, right? All military is on the table.
Like he said a month ago.
Yes. And that and I want to get the exact quote, has to do with the North Korea is somehow ignoring, or was he saying something about it's doing its thing and it being as opposed to everything in the world and the UN, and it's normal stuff.
I think we got the spirit of it.
Normal stuff. I had the quote here someplace. Yeah, for sure. Now, here is the fear. We talk about the fact that North Korea may start all of this. And the only and we all think that it's legitimate. I mean, that he could be crazy. As far as his take that the United States and the Western allies might start all of this, that's only for private public consumption in North Korea, isn't it? It has nothing to do with us.
They've been in a constant state of war since 1953, actually June of 1950, with us. But so people understand the scale of this. His dad, Kim Jong Un, fired a missile over Japan in 1998. And then there was a self-imposed moratorium. They said, oh, okay, we got what we needed out of that. We'll never do that again, because the U.S. and the Japanese freaked out, and the North Koreans thought, man, we crossed a line. So since then, for 19 years, they haven't done this. Suddenly they do this yesterday. And this was, just so people understand this was not a test. This was practice. The Hwasong 12 works. It works well. This was practice. The only data that they wanted out of yesterday's test was, how will we react and how will Japan react? Well, we didn't. Not so far.
Well, what can we do?
And also, we didn't shoot it down.
That's the thing.
That's what they were testing, because this was not, unlike the other 47-minute time of flight test from a month ago, they got all their data out of that they needed. This was a destroyed ballistic missile trajectory. This left the North Korean launch site at about 38 degrees. Right. It crested at 500 kilometers over Japan, and it could have been shot down by U.S. Navy ships or the Japanese, but we did not, and that's the test. That's the data.
And that's big, big news right there. Because while we think that North Korea, for the most part, is belligerent and really isn't going to start a military action against South Korea or maybe Japan, haven't we become a paper tiger?
Here's the orientation that Americans have to have, and I hope that President Trump has this as well. We think he's being belligerent. He thinks he's negotiating. We think he's shooting missiles. He thinks, why wouldn't I do this? Words mean nothing. I am negotiating. Look at my position. My position is I can launch with impunity a 2-stage missile over Japan, and you can do nothing about it. What's your counteroffer? And this is him negotiating. And also, so stand by, because if that's a shot, the chaser will be the 6th nuclear test sometime this week. Because here's the other weird thing about Kim Jong Un. He watches CNN. He watches MSNBC. He monitors that stuff. And you know what he's seen for the past 3 days is not him. He's seen people rescuing dogs and boats in Houston.
Oh, and he has a tough time with
literally,
that.
it's hard for us to wrap our minds around this. But he really does have a messiah complex when it comes to the American media. He wants us thinking about him, not about rescuing dogs in Houston.
So the bottom line is, while he thinks he's negotiating, we are doing what we can, and we're posturing and say we're going to do it. We have all the military might. We're going to bring whatever to the table. It's going to be a standstill while he's developing his nuclear capabilities, becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
He's buying more time until he has 20 mass-produced nuclear-capable missiles with warheads. Then he says, oh, you'll want to know my new position. I now am a nuclear missile power.
And we have to deal with it.
Yep. And he knows this.
And have to sit down at the table. And we know it, too. And it's so when Trump says what he does and the military prepares and we do when we do the exercise with South Korea, it's basically all crap, isn't it?
It is because I don't sense the political will on the part of the American people to actually go into a 30-day war with North Korea and actually make them feel the cost of what they've done, like bursting dams and wiping out their electrical grid and all that, because we know that all Kim Jong Un would do is fire one nuclear missile at Seoul, and he would crater the world's economy for 2 or 3 years.
And he wouldn't even have to do that because he's got all those artillery pieces.
Yeah, he can do it conventionally.
All right, we're going to come back. I want to talk a little bit more about
leverage.
That is super leverage. And then I'm going to come back and I want to talk about the arming of police forces all over the country with surplus military weaponry. That's back on the table.
I got to pee.
And he has to pee. And also your chance to win a trip to the iHeartRadio Music Festival. I'll tell you how to do that as soon as we come back. This is KFI AM 640.
All you have to do is wait a second. Your hands on mine. The clock is ticking, so say.
KFI AM 640. Bill Handel here on a Tuesday, August 29. Stories that we're covering this morning. The traffic problem. And as a matter of fact, Bryan Suits was in that. Driving, over 3 hours to get here?
It's hard to talk about, man.
Yeah.
If you weren't there, you don't know.
You're right. I was here.
Yeah, that's right. You were here.
That's right.
I was out there, man.
All right.
I was up to my knees in the old road.
That's so funny.
I came up to Balboa, and I said, do I go Balboa or do I stay on the old road? Where does it clear up?
It doesn't.
I looked to my left there at I-5 and 210.